So Sonic Frontiers got a very explosive review this past week, and by explosive I mean explosive in terms of public opinion. But today we're not really going to talk about public opinions on this game per se, we're more so going to talk about the small details that you definitely miss while watching this video. There's definitely a lot of small details that I caught after watching this thing like who knows how many times afterwards, and so I have a total of 35 surprising details about Sonic Frontiers that I got from this initial review trailer. And so beautiful humans on RidersDX, and I hope you're ready for this list because there's some really interesting stuff in here, and I just can't wait to learn more about this game. And number one, at the very beginning of this video, you get like a bird's eye view of everything within the world, but what you can see down here in this corner is this circular like building, and it's really interesting to me because everything else is just like natural terrain. So what's with all this technological stuff that's mixed into the fray here? And so I'm thinking that this might be like some kind of hub area, for instance, where you can like recharge something. Like maybe if Sonic has health, then that's where you can recharge it, or you can like store coins or other items and such. I don't know. So I'm really interested in seeing if you can go inside it, like what will you find in there, because that's a different kind of area that we haven't seen yet. I will say, after I wrote this video, I saw this Twitter user identify this little white symbol on the building that looks like Eggman's head, and so this could also be like an abandoned Eggman base. And so this kind of tells you that Eggman is definitely involved in this game, as if we didn't know he was involved in this game before. It may have been a scenario where Eggman messed up with something, but he gets punished for it in the very beginning of the game, and so that would definitely be an interesting change from what we're used to seeing in terms of Eggman really cradling his outwardly power only to be betrayed by it at the very end. And number two, as you start seeing Sonic run through these grassy plains, you see that there's these line of crates over here with arrows on it, and so I'm wondering what these arrows are actually for. That's a lot of arrows, and so I guess they're pointing towards something that's interesting. Maybe it's some kind of like radar system in the environment. I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking this. And number three, in this bird's eye view again, you see there's multiple towers like this one Sonic is climbing up. In fact, you can spot 6 placed in a circle at the beginning. So I'm just really curious as to why they're placed like that. I think there's definitely some kind of purpose to it. I mean, maybe they're just mindlessly placing things, but to place them all in a circle like that, I wonder if they're all connected for some reason, and maybe that's central to some kind of puzzle or something. At number 4, one of the very first things that I noticed while watching this video was the purple color that all the springs, dash pads, and rings sport now. Like, it's really fascinating because for the longest time these objects had the same exact color within Sonic lore across all 2D and 3D games, and so to see them changing up this time is really interesting, especially since it's like a purplish color. It almost seems like it represents how this world has been poisoned by whatever dark force is overtaking the world in this game, and so I think it's pretty interesting, and I'm definitely thinking there's some kind of story reason that all these objects are purple now. At number 5, throughout this trailer you see hearts consistently within it that Sonic can collect. So obviously many people assume that this is a health system for Sonic, but if that is the case, then what could the rings be for? In my opinion, I do think this is a health system, and the reason for that is because we do know that this game is going to have more in-depth combat compared to previous Sonic games, so a health bar just sort of makes more sense for Sonic compared to the ring system. But nonetheless, there are still rings in here, so the rings still definitely serve a purpose, and so maybe they help fuel the health bar for some reason, or maybe they'll be used as currency, or maybe something else, so we'll just have to wait and see what that is. At number 6, Sonic does return with quite a few moves from the Boost games, and one of those is the down stomping move, and so I actually kind of hope that they upgrade this a little bit and give us like the bounce attack, because I think having a bounce bracelet like move here would definitely be useful to get up to some of the higher-ish areas that you don't feel like running all around to get to, and so, you know, just an idea, Sega. At number 7, you can see that there's this blue wall over here and Sonic is running up on it, so it appears that Sonic can only run up these walls that are colored in blue, which I'm a little bit disappointed by because I think it would have been really cool to just let Sonic be able to run wherever he wants and to have an environment where Sonic is just able to kind of like run up everything he can. But I know that would be really difficult. I just think that would have been so cool to like really make the transition into the game seamless, but nonetheless it's still cool to see that Sonic can still run up some of these buildings, and so maybe there'll be tons of blue sections and we'll have a lot of fun traversing up these buildings anyway. At number 8, one of the things that people definitely noticed immediately were these purple coins that Sonic was collecting. It's interesting because of course they're purple, so that's that's very matching the color scheme of this game. But if you look closely into the coin itself, you can see it has this like fruit-like shape, which is interesting because that's one of the collectibles that we'll talk about later on in this video. And so I wonder if these coins could aid in collecting more fruit. You know, it could be like a blue coin system within Mario where you collect enough blue coins and you get like a star. So it could be like the fruit is the star, but I'm getting ahead of myself, so let's keep going. At number 9, like, I don't really have an explanation for this. I just think it's really interesting nonetheless. There's this like triangle sort of like structure over here. I'm sure there's a name for this shape, but I just don't know what it is off the top of my head. But we keep seeing this in the distance throughout the trailer. I'm just really curious as to what it is because it's shaped very differently from everything else we've seen here in terms of buildings. And so I'm wondering if it could be housing some kind of special challenge or something. Let me know what you think in the comment section below because I'm really fascinated by this structure. Number 10, as mentioned by many people upon their reaction, Sonic can actually climb up walls now. But this only works on blue walls like it does with the wall running. And so what I think is happening here is that if Sonic stops running up these walls, then he's able to just kind of stay there and climb up of it. I think the reason this is implemented as a mechanic is because maybe there's some hard to reach places that maybe you'll just have to climb up as Sonic and then jump towards that place or something to get there. Or maybe you can stay there and then use a camera to look around you and see what else is there in terms of like secrets and collectibles and such. And so there could be a lot of open world traversing reasons for it. It does look like a solid mechanic nonetheless. Nothing else to say about the climbing. It just looks good. At number 11, we see these arrows again from earlier, but this time it's on these balloons and they're pointing up. This just kind of confirms to me that these arrows are just sort of used to guide Sonic towards a certain direction, which I think is a little interesting for an open world game, but nonetheless, if you're trying to get to a certain location within the open world, then these arrows could be pretty useful. An open world can be a really confusing place. I mean, I should know. I couldn't finish Breath of the Wild because of that. So maybe these arrows will be really well appreciated in like this potentially giant sandbox. At number 12, when Sonic gets on top of the tower, in the distance you can see some sort of like village, I think, drowned in water. So this could be a taste of like what other zones we're gonna have in here, because if I have to theorize what I think this game will be structured like, I think there's gonna be multiple like zones like this one that are open, but it's not gonna be one seamless open world area because I can already tell technically the game can't handle that. And so it probably is gonna be like a series of open zones that Sonic can progress to, and maybe one of these involves like this underwater like village that we're getting a taste of over here. And so maybe there's gonna be some underwater control too. I think that'd be really interesting. I mean, most open world games have that, so that certainly is something that we could be seeing here. At number 13, we can see that Sonic is boosting on the rails, which does indicate its return, but the effect is much more subdued this time. I mean, you can't really see it as well, so it seems like the boost is much more seamless in terms of its appearance and just kind of making it seem like, you know, Sonic just can go that fast, but it's not very clear that it's the boost. And so it just sort of makes Sonic seem like more natural in terms of how he's progressing through the area, which is nice, I guess. At number 14, we see these gigantic titans throughout the entire footage, but they're sort of just like standing there chilling, like really not doing anything. And so this tells me that Sonic has the option to fight these, but if he doesn't want to fight it, then they're just gonna stay there and just do nothing. So it's a little bit creepy and definitely very similar to how they structure like those enemies in Breath of the Wild, but I mean, it's kind of cool that they're there nonetheless. So if you're in the mood for like a giant boss battle, then there you go, there's one right there. At number 15, we got our first sighting of one of those fruits you can collect over here inside this crate that Sonic can break. It's a little spiky, and its purpose is unknown, but later on in this video I'll have some theories as to what I think it's for, so stay tuned for that. At number 16, you've probably noticed these question marks throughout the world, which indicate a sort of puzzle / challenge that Sonic can do to earn some sort of reward. Most of these seem optional, like you don't need them to progress through the world. Well, maybe you do and we just don't know yet. And so it just kind of seems like, you know, in like an open world game, you go talk to like a civilian for like a quest and such. It kind of seems like that to me, except obviously this is a barren wasteland, and so you're not going to have that here. So it's interesting nonetheless that that's the structure they're going for. So it kind of seems like there's a bunch of little missions / puzzles written throughout the area that Sonic can kind of go to as he pleases. At number 17, one challenge I spotted that I don't think anyone else has really pointed out is that this seems to involve a little platforming as you see the structure you're supposed to traverse, with part of the bridge missing. And so unless there's some kind of like puzzle way to make that bridge complete, there might be a platforming way to get up to the top of that ledge. So I'm hoping it's the latter, or I'm just hoping that there's some more challenges down the road that will involve a little bit more platforming, a little bit more use of Sonic's moves. So let's hope for the best. At number 18, Sonic does impact some objects in his environment. Like the rocks are falling here, for instance, when he runs past them, and so there's definitely been a little thought put into Sonic's effect on the environment around him. So hopefully we'll see more things like that to just make the experience seem that much more engaging. At number 19, we see a robot on this bridge here that basically looks like the red ring gone wrong. Like seriously, it's just a red ring with spikes on it now. And so if I had to guess, I think its weak spot is in the red circular object in the middle, and you can see as you're running away from this robot that spins towards you, so it definitely seems like a very speedy robot. So it'll be interesting to see how Sonic tackles that one in particular, because I think if he just hits it dead on, then there's a risk that he's going to hit those spikes, which would not be pretty. At number 20, you can also see that Sonic's quick step has returned here. I really don't see how this is going to be that useful, to be honest, unless there's some actual quick step areas around here where you just run down a corridor and you go left and right, but I mean, it's here, so hooray. At number 21, as you see Sonic running down this like little river, you see that he's going up the rocks here, and then there's these blue colored spots on the walls that indicate Sonic can run on them if he reaches them, as seen here. Seems a little similar to the parkour in Lost World, but much more like immersively built into the game. Like you just run from the rock into the blue area, and so you don't have to like attach yourself to the wall to run on it. Like it basically just happens as you run towards it. So that's definitely a positive change made over here from Lost World. At number 22, there's this ring that you see over here that's colored differently with pink and light green, and allows Sonic to perform tricks, which is likely to fill up his boost gauge. And so now that I think about it, actually maybe that's what the rings are for too, to fill the boost gauge. And so I really do hope, I just have to say, I'm sorry, everyone else has mentioned this, but please improve the trick animations, please. Like there's gotta be some other things Sonic can do besides that same like jump. At number 23, you can also see there are some flying robots in the distance here, and they have these like spiky lines spinning around them. So you may have to time your homing attacks as Sonic when fighting them so that you don't get hit by those like spinning lines around them, but it seems like those lines are going around like really fast. So I'm really interested in seeing how you're supposed to attack those robots actually. Number 24 here, you see this interesting building here, and some people have theorized that this is like a gate to one of those like boost levels as mentioned in the previous leak. And so if you haven't seen that leak, then basically there's supposed to be like these portals into these like boost stages that Sonic can do. That's a little bit more traditional in terms of like Unleashed or Generations or Forces, in terms of like linear levels that Sonic gets from point A to point B. And so this might be one of those entrances from what other people seem to be inferring. At number 25, looks like there are some mandatory puzzles here to get to the next area, and so this is one where Sonic basically just has to spin this statue around to match the other two, and then he's gonna get to go to the next area as it opens up this gate. And so it's a very simple puzzle, so I imagine that anything that's like absolutely necessary is just gonna be a little bit simple, but I definitely can also see them getting a little bit more complex as time goes on. We also have another puzzle here shown afterwards that makes use of Sonic's like little circular ability. I don't know if there's a name for that yet. Let me know if there is in the comment section below, but it seems to generate wind whenever you do it, and that is what's putting out the flames and thus solving the puzzle. At number 27, like I just caught this like the 10th time watching this video, but you also hear Sonic make a grunt when he clears the first flame, which is our first time hearing any kind of voices in this game so far. So that's Roger's first like voice line given to us for this game. At number 28, one of the most interesting aspects about this game that I've seen so far is that it seems that clearing these puzzles can result in changes to the environment, like the appearance of this rail for instance. And so maybe the reason the world looks so barren is because it basically was just hidden because of all these like puzzles that are around it, like locking it away behind a wall. And so that seems really interesting. If we get like a really populated world as we keep going through the game, that would be a really great way to show progression for this game. Like it's basically just Sonic rebuilding the world that he's in, which would be a really cool objective for the game actually. So I don't know, maybe Sega and Sonic team had some good ideas and they're just waiting to show us, so we'll see. At number 29, we also see that a fruit is earned by completing this puzzle. So these fruit probably serve as some sort of progression purpose we'll hopefully learn more about soon, because if you have coins that help you get fruit, and you also have fruit from completing these puzzles, I have a feeling that maybe these fruit are being used to like, I don't know, grow the environment maybe. I mean, I know they're not seeds, but maybe the fruits have seeds or something, and that's what's going to make this world like go back to the way it was, assuming that there was a previous iteration for it that was much more lively. So this is just like my theoretical mind talking at this point. Point is, you get fruits from puzzles, so yeah. At number 30, we did talk about those question mark icons, but we also have these blue icons that look like treasure chests, so there may be some goodies Sonic can collect when going to these marks. These might also be different sorts of challenges that he can partake in to get certain treasures, and so so we'll just have to see when they finally go to one of these in gameplay footage. Number 31, there's an eagle flying above here, and so I actually really hope that we can ride them. I don't think it's gonna happen, but if we could ride them, that'd be a really fun way to just traverse throughout the world at a really fast pace. Like, it wouldn't make sense why an eagle would get to a certain place faster than Sonic, but I just think it'd be fun nonetheless. A nice little fun fast travel system. At number 32, there's this whole section of Sonic running in a forest, and there's not much new stuff I spotted here, but one thing I did notice, and this might be just the person playing for instance, so this is not like a confirmed fact, but Sonic is only using the boost intermittently, and that's pretty much seen throughout the entire trailer. And so I wonder if the boost is actually nerfed to where you can't hold it anymore, you know, similar to how they did it in Unleashed on the Wii version. I can't confirm that at all from this footage, like, because we just don't know if that's the case or not, but if they do that, then that's a move that I understand and I actually think makes sense, because in an open world like this, if you have to like slow down, travel through some of these locations at a more reasonable pace, then it just might make sense to make the boost a little bit less powerful. At number 33, you have another puzzle here involving Sonic needing to step on all the squares without jumping, so this is just another example of some of the puzzles that we'll probably see throughout the game. We'll probably see different iterations of this that are a little bit tougher, so we'll just have to look forward to that in the future. At number 34, I could be completely wrong about this, so definitely let me know what you think in the comment section below, but I spot this little like structure here, and I might be completely wrong, but that looks like a person. Like, it looks like a civilian, except they've been completely frozen in rock, which is terrifying, but that would be a really good way to show how serious and intense this, you know, entity we're fighting is. And so maybe that is a civilian that's just basically like trapped in like a rock formation forever unless Sonic saves the world. I don't know, but definitely let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, because it's a pretty odd structure nonetheless, and it's also standing randomly on the bridge, so I feel like if it was just a regular rock, then it would be in the grasslands, right? It wouldn't be on the bridge, so there's just something very odd about that. And the last fact at number 35, when you see Sonic running on that wheel, you also have these like little bird creatures on the side here, and they're singing, and I swear they sound exactly like Chow, but that's probably just my really optimistic mind speaking, so I won't just say that there's Chow confirmed in this game, because that's most likely not the case. But nonetheless, it's very interesting to see that there's actual creatures that live here as well. So that just kind of feeds into the idea that I think that this world was previously inhabited by people, but because of whatever happened to it, like now there's no one here, and Sonic has basically got this mission to restore it so that everyone can come back and the world can just live happily ever after. So that's really what I'm betting this game is going to be about, but I guess we'll just have to wait and find out, because there's also like a severe lack of like Sonic's friends and such. Like, we haven't even seen Eggman yet or things like that, so this could be impacting Sonic's world as well. So maybe he just wants to like save this world before it impacts his world. Definitely let me know what discoveries you made in the comment section below. I'd be really curious to hear about them, and just let me know what you think about Sonic Frontiers so far. Are you all into it? Are you all not into it? I won't lie, my opinion when I first saw this game was not very positive. Like, there's definitely some things that I'm not very crazy about, but as I keep watching it and as I keep analyzing it more, I'm seeing that there's some potential here. There's a lot of good ideas here I think this game has, and I'm just gonna wait till I see more content before I like make a complete opinion video about it. But yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts, so definitely let me know them in the comment section below. And just yeah, thank you all so much. Special shout out to my patrons: Team Rattle Sonic Gamer, Andrew Coughlin, Trash Q, and Claw84. You guys are amazing MVPs. Thank you so much. And now this is Riders riding out. Yeah.